Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, in this video here, we're going to be speaking about numbers 11 till 19. Numbers 11 till 19 in the Arabic language. Now, these numbers 11 till 19, are the hardest to understand in the Arabic language, and they function in a very, very strange way. But inshallah, in this video, it should be made fairly clear. So this may be a bit shocking or a bit confusing at first, but with the passage of time, it should become fairly clear. So numbers 11 till 19, first and foremost, as always, there's always going to be two things when you're counting a number, when you're counting in Arabic language. There's going to be the adad, the number itself, so 11, 12, and then the ma'adud, the thing being counted. So for example, 11 students or 12 students or 13 students, and so on and so forth. So in the Arabic language, the number is going to be a compound. So it's going to be made up of two parts. Just like in English, numbers 11 till 19 are pretty much similar. So for example, we say 19, 18, 17. So there's always two parts, the number, then 10, except for 11 and 12. In Arabic, it's also similar in the sense that there's a compound. So you'll see, for example, خمسة عشرة, 15, ستة عشرة, 16, and the list goes on. And this will be made clear, inshallah, as we go through the examples. The second thing to remember about the adad is that it's always going to be مبني على الفتح. مبني على الفتح means that the ending of the adad, whether it be 11 all the way up to 19, is always going to end with fatha. Numbers 11 till 19 are always going to end with one fatha at the end. So sittata ashara, 16. Never sittatu or sittati, and never ashari or asharu or something like that. It's always going to be sittata ashara with one fatha at the end, regardless of whether it's number 11 all the way up till 19. So those are the two things we want to remember about the adad. Second thing, for the ma'adud, the thing being counted, it's always singular. So the thing being counted is going to be singular in writing, plural in meaning. So I'll say, for example, أحد عشر طالبا. أحد عشر طالبا. 11 students. So طالبا here is in its singular form, but it's plural in meaning, students. Likewise, the ma'adu is always going to be mansub. So it's always going to end with one fatha. It's always going to end with a fatha at the end. Not one fatha, but it's always going to end with a fatha at the end. Whether it has a tanween or not is not specified here. So let's see an example of this. 11 students would be said like this. أحد عشر طالبا. أحد عشر طالبا. So as you can see, the number, the adad itself, is made up of two parts. It's a compound. There's part A and there's part B. Part A is going to be the first part of the number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So ahada, that's 1. Ashara, that's 10. So 11. Same thing, for example, sittata ashara, that would be 16. So sittata would be part A, that would be 6. Ashara would be part B, so that would be the 10, if you will, so the teen part. So the adad is always going to be made up of two parts, part A and part B. It's very important to remember this. So ahada ashara, 11. Taliban, that's the ma'adud, students. So taliban is singular in writing, plural in meaning, students, and it ends always with a fatha at the end. 13 students would look like this. ثلاثة عشر طالبا. So 13 students. So ثلاثة عشر is 13, made up of two parts, part A, part B. طالبا is the ma'adud, and it's singular in writing, plural in meaning, and so on and so forth. So that's an example for numbers and how they look like. Now, that was the first part. Now, this is where it gets confusing. This is where numbers 11 till 19 get confusing. Numbers 11 till 19 can be divided into two groups based on their gender rules. So numbers 11 and 12, both part A and B follow the ma'adud in gender. So both part A and part B are going to follow the gender of the ma'adud. So taliban here. So if this is feminine, both of these are going to be feminine. And if this is masculine, both of these are going to be masculine, like in this example. Now, on the other hand, for numbers 13 till 19, part A is the opposite gender of the ma'adud. Part A is going to be the opposite gender of the ma'adud, while part B is going to agree with the gender of the ma'adud. Part B is going to agree with the gender of the ma'adud. So how does this look like? Here we have the number 13. Number 13. So part A is going to be the opposite gender of the ma'adud. So this is masculine. So this is going to be feminine with a tam marbuta. But part B here is going to be masculine because the ma'adud is masculine. So this is where it gets confusing, as I mentioned. So numbers 13 till 19 are a bit confusing in the sense that part A is going to be the object gender of the ma'adud, but part B is going to agree with the gender of the ma'adud. So let's see some more examples. So this for numbers 11 till 12. So numbers 11 and 12 pretty much. If this is masculine, both of these are going to be masculine. And if this is feminine, both of these are going to be feminine. So clear examples here. Taliban is masculine, so I'm going to say ahada ashara, masculine. 11 male students. But طالبة is feminine, so I'm going to say إحدى عشرة طالبة. So إحدى is the feminine version of أحد. عشرة is also the feminine version of عشرة. So this is examples for numbers 11 and 12, where both part A and part B are going to agree with the ma'dud in gender. Then we have examples for numbers 13 until 19. So here the ma'dud, if it's masculine, part A is going to be feminine, the opposite gender, but part B is going to agree with it. And here, if this is feminine, then part A is going to be the opposite gender, but part B is going to agree with it. So that's for numbers 13 to 19. So for some examples, here طالبا is masculine, so part A is going to be the opposite gender, خمسة وفتاة مربوطة, but part B is going to agree with it, عشرة. So خمسة عشرة طالبا. Here طالبة is feminine, so part A is going to be masculine, خمسة, but part B is going to agree with it, عشرة. So that is how numbers 13 to 19 functions. Like I said, it's a bit tricky, but with the passage of time, it should become fairly clear. So this pretty much sums it all up. If you remember these 2 points, you're never going to make mistakes you're never going to make mistakes when it comes to these numbers. If you remember 2 points, you're never going to make a mistake when it comes to these numbers, inshallah. The first thing is that part B, which is the ashara part, the teen part, if you will, is always the same gender of the ma'adu regardless of the number group. So part B, regardless of whether it's part of 13 or 19, or whether it's part of 11 and 12, part B always follows in ma'dud in gender. Always. So feminine, feminine, masculine, masculine. Same thing here. Masculine, masculine, feminine, feminine. On the other hand, part A, it depends which group. If it's part of numbers 11 and 12, part A agrees with the gender of the ma'dud as we covered. But if it's part of numbers 13 to 19, part A is the opposite gender of the ma'dud. So if you remember these 2 points, you should never make a mistake when it comes to numbers 11 till 19, inshallah. Part B always agrees. Part A, look at the group 11 and 12, it agrees. 13 till 19 does not agree. I hope this video was clear.